Okay, Craig. Dan Campbell said that he took a page from Sean Payton in the way that he watches film. I thought it was
Hmm.
interesting. So Dan Campbell explained it a little bit, and I actually saw an interview with Sean Payton talking about this exact thing. So let me explain what they do when they watch film, and you give me your thoughts. So he was
Sure.
talking. You obviously, especially coming off a game against the Panthers where you get run over, then you got to go play a running quarterback. Like, how do how do you get ready for it? Basically, comes down to watching film and preparing. So he talked about watch film on yourself, of course, watch film on
Naturally.
the opponent, what they've been
Of
doing well,
course.
whatever. Watch film on yourself as if you were the opponent. So you pretend you're the Chicago Bears and you look, man, if I was the Bears, what would I do against us based on what I've been seeing? You then
Okay.
look at what have teams done to stop Justin Fields in the last few weeks.
Okay.
Then you look at around the league. What are just some good like red zone plays? What are some good blitzes? What are some good situational stuff? And you take it in like live in like real time. It's not like, oh, let's work on that next offseason. It's like, let's do it right now. Like the Broncos did something, let's take it immediately
No, they
from them.
didn't. Sorry.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
exactly. So when you look at how you prepare, he's saying you watch film, there's no rock unturned. And so I thought that was interesting because we just got killed by the Panthers. Now we've got to go to a totally different team, but yet they're still going to run. So, and I love that because you forget he did come from Sean Payton, who we all agree is like, I don't want to say a legend, but a great coach, an outstanding, outstanding
No
coach.
arguments.
And so we know that you watch film, duh. But when you hear that and talk about all the different ways to watch film, what kind of sticks out to you and what he had to say?
I think what sticks out to me when you went down the line is I'm thankful that they're not watching film in a bubble. So I'm going to take you down. And I think people don't realize the importance of film sometimes. I think they forget that it's the biggest difference between the NFL and college and high
Mhm.
school. And it's, of course, talent too, but just the amount of time you spend prepping. And when it's your full time job, you have the time, do it. These kids aren't going to classes. It reminds me of a story. You ready? I'm going to get weird on you for a
Mhm.
second. Jim Leland and the Detroit Tigers, they were struggling, and Jim
Oh.
Leland got ejected from a game. Not unusual for Jim Leland, probably sneaking cigarettes in the dugout. So he goes into the locker room and he watches the rest of the game on the TV. And it was in that moment that he realized a mechanic issue with one of his hitters and one of his pitchers
Mm.
because he's like, I just watched the film. I was watching it live and I saw it. And it's just like, what, don't you usually do that? Like, and it made it sound like, no, he doesn't usually watch the film of what's going on and stuff. And I'm just like, what is happening? And so it's
Yeah.
like you're living in this bubble, but then it goes beyond that. A lot of teams watch film on their opponent and they watch film on themselves, but they don't take it that next 2 or 3 steps that you were talking about. It's just about putting in the time. It's about putting in the work. You don't have to be the smartest guy in the world to watch film and see what works for other people, what's not working for other people, what
Yes.
worked against the Bears, what didn't work against the Bears. And by the way, similarly, you can even take that one step further. If you want to stop Justin Fields, how did people stop other running quarterbacks around the league too? Like, what was the best way to do that? Jalen Hurts last year, just different things like how do we stop them? And so I love the fact that they're going deeper on the film game. And if he learned how to watch film from Sean Payton, I can't think of a ton of better guys that you want to mimic what you're doing. And it makes me wonder, truly, you ready for a little weird nugget here? How much of the offense is he still in control of?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I
just
know
curious.
and that's what you said it a step further. You talk about high school. High school, you do not implement like new plays during the season, or you know what I mean. Like that's just you maybe, but in
Maybe, but not a ton. It's not like in the
no,
NFL where it's every week, multiple
every
plays. And
week you're looking, hey, this is
yeah,
what we're going to do. This is a brand we have not run this before. And then I loved what Sean Payton was saying about because Dan Campbell said it, but I've heard Sean Payton say this. You look at yourself, you watch film like you are going to play the Detroit Lions, and you're like, oh my gosh, look what I would do.
that's huge.
And you really realize, oh man, if we were playing these guys, we'd do this type of run. They can't stop it. And so then you have to go adjust in practice to, man, when I was watching this, because you get tunnel vision. And I think that's where some and that's why the game is so crazy, because you've got your coaches, you've got your
Right.
assistants, you've got your video guys, but you do have to have some of these guys that,
Your analytics guys.
oh yeah, that are watching as pretending they're the opponent, being like, hey, I was watching this, and look at, because you get tunnel vision, you can't see what you don't see, and
Right.
that's why everybody has to collaborate, and that's why we look at our organization as a whole. We went with the dictatorship Patricia method, and now
Mhm.
we're going with the collaboration. And I mean, again, just because we flamed out with Patricia, I don't think I'm saying this. I really do believe the collaboration piece, you got to have input from everybody and have a leader like Dan that's really open to hearing things, because this is a perfect example when it comes to film.
Yeah. When it comes to film. And I think too, it's why you see success for guys like Goff. I think it's why you see the defense all of a sudden getting much, much, well, not
Mm-hmm.
much, much better, but they're improving, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why you're seeing stuff like that. And because they talk, and we've heard this 50 times, it feels like Goff and Johnson put together this offense, like around what Goff likes, around what he
Yes.
likes. But it's not just that you're listening to Goff, who, by the way, has plenty of knowledge to talk about. He's played enough years in the league by now and seen enough good offense, and he's been around enough good offensive minds, right? With McVay and all that kind of stuff. But also, it seems like when you watch Goff this year, as opposed to years past, doesn't it just seem like he knows exactly where he wants to go with the ball and exactly how he wants to do it? Because he helped put it together and he spent the time watching that film.
Yes.
He spent the time watching the film.
And they
And
come
I think
together. Yep.
that's what made the big difference in the offense this year. I really, really do.
Yeah.
So I love watching that. Film study is one of those things that people talk about it, but you can't measure it from our outside perspective because we don't know how much it's happening.
Yeah. And
But when you have a team with our talent turning it around, like obviously maybe that's the difference. Maybe it's not just culture. Maybe it's film and culture.
And that's what I've always wondered. You hear some of these guys, Peyton Manning comes to mind, of course, but there's other
Oh
guys
yeah.
around the league like, oh, I just watch hours and hours of film. And I always thought to myself, what are you watching? Because,
Mhm.
uh, but now it makes more sense to me. You're watching, yeah, opponents, what worked, what didn't.
Mhm.
3 years ago when we played them, oh, they like to do this and third down, and this coach tends to do this, and especially with us. And that's what I like about our wrinkles on special teams. Against another layer for the opponent to prepare for. Every punt, you better be ready for us to do something. So it's like, okay, we have shown multiple looks when it comes to special team fakes and so it's just another look there. And I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised, speaking of that, Craig, if we see that this week. We haven't done much lately, and I think we might. I think Dan Campbell knows we're two must-win games. Do
You think it's
not.
going to get a little weird?
Yep. Do not just we're down 7 and we're got a punt to Justin Fields. They got momentum. I am going to be looking for fakes this week. On a side
Mhm.
note.
On a side note, and not just fakes, but going for it. We've always gone for it on fourth down, but I think just little wrinkles that they're not just saving for third downs and fakes. I think you're going to get a first down trick play, right?
Mhm.
Just little things like that where it's like, I think we're just going to change things up. But I think, and it's harder, I think, for the standard fan, me included, to know the biggest difference. I think you're going to see some weird wrinkles on the defense. Did
Yes.
you know last week, and I didn't see it this way when I was watching it, did you know we didn't stack the box once for the run defense?
It's felt like we didn't.
It felt like we didn't, but I thought with that single high safety, we would have stacked the box, or at least we had enough in there. We never brought 8 into the box. We never stacked it. And so, and they just kept running on us. They kept running on us. I would be looking for that all day. And I know why they didn't do it. And this is probably another video. And we're going to have the same concern. It's because you had young, inexperienced safeties and they didn't want to get beat over the top. But so I understand why they didn't do it. But I think you're going to see the defense be like, we don't have any choice. We have to get weird and take some chances here. We got to take some chances. Otherwise, we're just
100%.
going to slowly die.
100%. And so that's a great point, because you can't notice the defensive stuff as easily as you can offense. So we'll be looking
Right.
for that this week. We'll be looking
Yep.
for just wrinkles. I think Dan Campbell is going to start, pulling from Sean Payton and some of the things that he's done in the past. And really, these are 2 must-win games. Let's get weird. If we don't win, we don't win. But let's go for it. So
Let's at least go out swinging.
exactly. So let
Yep.
us know your thoughts in the comments, and we will see all of you on the next one.